What's up everybody, Shadow Ninja here, and welcome back to RageQuit for another RageQuit review. Now we are going to be doing a movie review today, and that is because a couple days ago I watched Godzilla, King of the Monsters. Oh yeah, I'm kind of half and half with this one. Just a little bit. Only because of the fact that they got a couple of the things, well, most of the things right in this movie, but the majority of the stuff was just not really, it wasn't really acted upon in a way that I personally would have done it. Now, this isn't going to be going into a rant on how I would change the movie, how I think the movie sucks or anything. I'm just going to say that I thought it could have been 10 times better than it actually was. That can be said for a lot of movies nowadays, and I definitely do commend whoever was working on this project, this whole movie. They tried, at least, to make this story somehow make sense, to kind of make a second iteration of the new Godzilla Monsterverse that they have created. They made it in 2015 with the first Godzilla movie. They made another movie, a part of that same universe, a King Kong movie, Skull Island, and that movie was surprisingly good. They showed a lot of the King Kong stuff, and they kind of put the human stuff to the very, very side. Of course, there were human characters, and there was a subplot with the humans and how they had to deal with the monsters and being stuck on Skull Island. But the star of the show, which the movie is named after, was the monster, King Kong. And as you can see, that is something that, you know, a lot of fans want to see. They want to go into the movie and they want to see the monsters fight. They want to see them do cool shit, obviously, because they're going into the movie with the mindset of this movie's named after this character. Nobody wants to see a movie where you walk into the movie, you sit down, the movie's named Godzilla, and all you see are humans running around, humans crying because they can't find their moms, you know, oh my god, buildings are crumbling down, we gotta get out of the airplane 1,000 times. Okay, maybe it's okay for the first half hour for you to see how the humans kind of deal with the whole, oh my god, there's all these monsters coming out of nowhere, you gotta, you know, deal with it, because you gotta think when you're sitting in there, okay, so if I was in that situation and Godzilla comes out of the ground, out of the sea, and decides to start destroying everything, what would I do? So that's good for the first half hour, but then after a while it just gets very, very boring, and that was basically the entirety of this new movie. Now, I'm not going to go into any major spoilers or anything like that. I'm not going to spoil any plots for you guys, but I'm definitely going to say that the human stuff definitely took a lot of the spotlight in this second movie, this second iteration of the Godzilla Monsterverse that now they are making, and they're leading up to Godzilla vs. King Kong. And now that we're gonna have it, apparently they're done filming, or they're working on it right now, and it's wrapping up filming or whatever, and that's pretty cool. But at the same time, I'm getting kind of worried, because all of this movie was literally just humans running around, humans having to deal with problems, and very little of the monsters actually fighting. Now, I'm gonna take this for instance. When you see one of the monsters come out and they start fighting another monster, you're getting ready, you're on the edge of your seat, you're like, okay, here we go, this is what I paid money for, to see these monsters fight. They clash, and then it goes right back to the human shit. The 2015 version of Godzilla, the first one, and the doors are about to close, and you see Godzilla going in for the kill against this mutant monster, and the doors close, and then all of a sudden you see the humans running down a corridor. What are we gonna do? Stop that shit. Nobody wants to see that shit. Nobody cares about the human stuff. Yes, I know you need some sort of context for the humans so that the universe makes sense and that you can actually have a human way of dealing with the problem so that your characters can connect with people, because obviously you don't want the whole 2 hours just to be big bad monster fights. You want to have some story, you want to have it make sense, but at the same time you don't want to have it to make so much sense that it takes itself too seriously. Now, let's be real here. The Godzilla movies of old were a dude in a rubber suit dressing up as a giant dinosaur, toppling over little cardboard buildings and destroying toy tanks, okay? That is the gist of what the Godzilla movies were back then. They were goofy, they were fun, they were action-packed, they didn't take themselves too seriously, and now what do we got? We got this ultra-serious, ultra-gritty, ultra-realistic version of Godzilla and the Monsters, and might I add, these CGI graphics were by far some of the best that I've ever seen, some of the best adaptations of these kaiju that I've ever seen. Mothra, Rodan, King Ghidorah, and Godzilla himself, as well as a couple other monsters that they showed throughout the movie, were really good looking. They looked really realistic, and you can definitely tell that they kind of went back and they, you know, did every little fine detail on each of these monsters and made them look as real as they could possibly look. CGI work is not easy, but at the same time, why wouldn't you show off your talent a little bit more when you have these two monsters fighting, and then all of a sudden they go in, they're about to hit each other, and human stuff. Like, it just ruins the whole movie. And yes, the movie isn't a bad movie, and when the monsters fight, it actually is really awesome to see Godzilla fucking shit up and to see all these monsters. Don't get me wrong, each of the other monsters got their spotlight. They each got a little intro. They come out, they do some shit, they do some cool shit, and then it goes back to the human stuff. But it would be different if the human stuff was a little bit more interesting. As I said before, I'm not going to spoil the plot of the movie. Definitely the mom character in the movie, though, and the Japanese scientist, those were probably the only characters that somewhat did a decent job. Probably the Japanese scientist was the more likable of the characters because he has a personal connection with Godzilla and the Kaiju, and in the first movie he wanted them to fight it out instead of just nuking the place and killing the monsters. I thought the dad character was annoying. I thought the little girl was fucking annoying. I thought the bad dudes were annoying. I thought all the human characters were annoying except for the Japanese scientist, and that was pretty much it. And if you have your movie solely based on these human characters running around and you don't like any of them, it's not really a good time. But anyways, as I said before, when the monsters actually do fight for the little time that they do, I mean, don't get me wrong, there are a couple scenes where it just kind of lets it happen just for a couple seconds and then it goes right back. But when you take all these monster scenes and you compile them up and you take out the human parts and you just kind of put them all together and you let the movie play, it definitely does look cool. The monster fights do look epic. People that did the CGI for these monsters did a really great job, but as I said before, why would you hide the CGI graphics? Why would you hide the monsters behind, oh yeah, they're just over here somewhere? But human characters, that's what we all need. We need human drama. We need personal drama. No! We are going in to see a movie about giant dinosaurs kicking the crap out of each other. Why would you just sit us in front of a couple actors talking about it? Look guys, the fight is right behind us, but you can't see any of it. Oh man, I really wish you could see it. Looks really cool. Like, what the fuck, guys? Like, honestly, you did this twice already. As I said before, the movie is not bad. The story makes sense. The story is interesting. You know, you can see all the little Easter eggs they put into the movies, and when the monsters come out and they do their thing, it actually is very true to the movies that they were in previous. And it's, you know, the music is really cool. They show off the Godzilla music. He's toppling. It feels very nostalgic, but at the same time, it gets ruined by all these little human jump cuts. Like, it doesn't make sense. But I don't know, guys. It felt like a wasted opportunity to have all these classic monsters come in. You have Mothra that comes in, and she's just this really beautiful looking bug creature. She's supposed to be the protector of the Earth. She looks awesome. She definitely has her moment. You see Rodan, you saw in the trailer, he comes out of the volcano, and I was like, oh my god, it was just like the Rodan movie, you know, when he comes out of the volcano because he was burnt inside the volcano, becomes this fire monster, he just kills everything, and he's this bad monster. Then you see King Ghidorah, which he definitely took the scenes away from Godzilla a little bit. It actually felt like it was King Ghidorah, the movie, because you saw most of him. He was the big bad guy. Obviously, if you don't know, King Ghidorah is the three-headed Hydra. He comes from outer space, so obviously he's a lot more powerful than Godzilla. But because Godzilla is more mind over matter, and he, you know, always gets back up and he never stays down for too long, he overcomes King Ghidorah in every single movie, and with the help of Mothra and Anguirus and all those protectors of the Earth monsters, they form up, they kill King Ghidorah like a bunch of times in those movies, and it was just really cool to see. And something like that definitely does happen in this movie. I mean, let's be honest here, we all know that Godzilla is going to win, because if he doesn't, then there wouldn't be a third movie. That's going to be Kong versus Godzilla. And as I said before, they do multiple shots to King Kong and multiple little Easter eggs of Skull Island, of what's happening over there, and it's really cool to see how these two Monsterverses can come together in one final battle. And I know exactly what's going to happen in the King Kong vs. Godzilla movie. It's going to be exactly like Batman vs. Superman. They're going to fight for a little bit, and then they're going to find maybe an even bigger monster that's going to come out of nowhere, and then Kong and Zilla are going to be like, well, we got to fight them together, and then they're going to fight together, and then, you know, they're going to shake hands at the end, and then they're going to go their own fucking separate ways, and then maybe that'll be the end of the monster movies for a little while. But apparently, this new movie is coming out next year, which I've already said before, they're already, like, filming this movie, or already done filming this movie. So any criticism that I could give to them, any criticism that any reviewer that's been online that I've looked up their reviews could give to the fact that You don't need the human characters to take away the spotlight from the literal monsters that are the names of the movie. It should be not called Godzilla, King of the Monsters. It should be called Dad Character, Douchebag of the Humans. That's what it should be called, because goddamn, none of these characters are likable, and sitting through 2 hours of that shit, of just them talking about what the hell they're gonna do. Okay, like I said, a half hour of that would be okay. The first half hour, what are we gonna do? Okay, this is what we're gonna do. Okay, do it. Oh look, there's Godzilla. Go to Godzilla, he's fighting people, and then all of a sudden what the humans said they were gonna do is gonna happen. You know, you don't have to keep going back and forth and back and forth. Oh, Godzilla's about to throw a punch. Go back to the dad. Oh, Godzilla's about to eat the fucking head off of King Ghidorah. Oh, go back to the mom character. Like, stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Fucking stop it. Do you realize this is not the reason why people go to these movies? I don't know how many times I have to say to it. When you were in 1950 and you had a movie called Godzilla, you know, and the trailer showed and there's big monsters going over, and I'm gonna be 100% real with you guys. That 1950s, 1960s movie, that first Godzilla movie, maybe a whole hour and a half went by without seeing Godzilla once. It was all build up. It was all, oh, what was gonna happen? Oh, I don't know. Let's just watch the movie. But when he finally comes in, it's like a straight half hour of him, you know, uninterrupted by any human stuff. He's just, fuck you guys, I'm coming, you guys nuked my goddamn island, I'm coming, you fuckers, just kicking rocks and fucking killing. Let's look at King Kong versus Godzilla, the original one. There was maybe the first half hour, the humans go to Skull Island and they see the Indians walking around, and the Indians are praying, and the white dudes are like, what's going on? What are you guys doing? And the Indians are like, well, we have this god, this big giant monkey, he can call lightning from the sky, and he's our god. And the humans were like, what? That's fucking stupid. So Kong and Godzilla, they meet up, and then the rest of the movie is them just beating the shit out of each other, and it was a great movie, and people liked it. Godzilla, Final Wars. Okay, this is the very last movie before Hollywood came in and made that abomination of a Zilla movie with the half Velociraptor, half T-Rex that breathes fire, dragon motherfucking Godzilla from New York. Yeah, that movie in Godzilla Final Wars, it was literally, the human stuff was probably really like the best human stuff that we've gotten, because these humans are like kaiju killers. They have weaponry, they're going around and they're killing the kaiju, because it takes place in like a post-apocalyptic world where all the kaiju are running rampant and cities are getting destroyed, and all these mutants, these literal superhero human beings, they have tanks, they have guns, they have superpowers, they fight each other, they have like inhuman reflexes, and there's also a little bit of alien stuff that comes in, and it was really, really interesting. And then when it finally got to the Godzilla parts, it did not stop. Godzilla went on a rampage and he killed every single monster that he's ever fought before, again, because they were mind controlled by aliens or something. He came down, killed every single one of them, and then had a final battle with King Ghidorah. In the battles with King Ghidorah and Godzilla, you definitely feel that King Ghidorah is so much stronger than Godzilla that there's no way that he can possibly win. But you guys all know what the ending's going to be, otherwise there wouldn't be another movie, so you guys are just going to have to go and see how this actually pans out. Now, I'm going to give my final rating. I've already said everything that I wanted to say. I just feel like my biggest critique is get some better actors if you want to have a human-centric Godzilla movie, which that in its own self is just idiotic because of the simple fact that it's named Godzilla, it's named King Kong, Skull Island. That's my biggest complaint. Have the humans actually make sense, have them actually be interesting to the story, not just two-dimensional characters that sit there and have the same goddamn personality from beginning to end. We want to see some variation if you're going to go that route and make some human characters. But if not, what all the fans are hoping and what all the reviewers are hoping, you stick to the monsters, you stick to the monster fights, and you give them context within their own rights. You don't just say, oh yeah, we're going to have this dude talk about Godzilla and that's going to be his context. No, you actually give us some flashbacks, give us some backstory, you know. But what I'm basically just trying to say is, just let the monsters fight. Let the dude from the first movie give you the biggest fucking advice for the next movies. Let the goddamn monsters fight. You goddamn Hollywood doesn't understand. Tokyo did it better. Give the rights back. But no, anyway, I'm going to give my final rating, And my final rating is going to, all I can really give it is like a 7 out of 10. Now my review and my rate doesn't really mean anything. It's not even like, oh my god, I must have hated this movie because I didn't give it a 10. Oh my god, these numbers, they're gonna hurt me. But I'm just saying, as somebody who's seen pretty much all the movies and read the comics, seen the cartoons, and had the friggin' action figures when I was 10, I can honestly say that this movie was good. The human stuff was okay. It was kind of cringy at times. There was really no humor, and when it did pop up, it was kind of fake laughs coming from me just to feel like it was okay and it was funny, just so I could, you know, sit there any longer. But anyways, guys, that is my rating. I thought that the CGI and the monsters, they were awesome. They were cool looking, but when they actually fought, it was amazing looking, and I thought maybe if you gave those guys a little bit more time to do what the hell they were supposed to do as kaiju monsters fighting and destroying shit at the same time, maybe it was all in their budget. I have no idea. I don't know how to make movies. But anyways, that was just my critique. A little bit less of the human stuff, a little bit more of the monster stuff. Alright guys, but I should definitely tell you that this movie was not bad in any way, shape, or form. It just wasn't as good as I thought it was going to be, and I was kind of disappointed when walking out, and that's all I really got to say. I definitely think that you should guys go watch this movie if you are fans of kaiju. If you're hardcore, die-hard fans of kaiju, definitely go watch this film, and if you're not, maybe pass on this one. But I think you guys should definitely see it so that you can get some context for the next King Kong vs. Godzilla. Alright guys, I'm Shadow Ninja, you've just watched this RageQuit review, and I will see you on the next one.